Today I'd like to share with you something that I'm really passionate about, and it's hopefully something that all of you can take away and put in your businesses in the next 10 minutes. So I want to talk about giving back and how it makes great business sense. How many of you here in your businesses donate money to a charity or a cause? Put your hand up. Okay, great. Hands down. How many of you donate time, services, volunteer hours? Okay, so I think all of your hands are up, and as women, we're really good at donating and giving back. So here's the next question. How many of you have figured out how to profit by donating money, time, or resources in your business? All right, listen carefully. All right. So one of the mantras that I've fallen into, and I've turned it into a brand, is called passion equals profits. And I totally believe that if we are women, entrepreneurs, we work 7/24 because we don't have other lives. Our businesses just mesh into everything. So if we're that passionate, we have to be able to figure out how to profit out of every minute what we do. Now, I didn't wake up and think about this. I evolved, and I'll tell you a little bit how. I went to fashion school many years ago, and I graduated and got into the fashion industry. And anybody who's experienced it, it's not the most ethical, glamorous industry I've ever experienced. And I just realized it wasn't for me. But I love shopping, and I was really cheap. So I had to figure out how to mesh that in. And I was a huge helper. I was always helping people, and that's who I am. So I was volunteering at a fashion show many, many years ago for Covenant House, the largest youth shelter in Canada. And I was dressing the models backstage, and if any of you have ever done that, it's craziness, and then you get a lull. And I said to the woman who I was with, so what do you do when you're not doing this? And she said, oh, I actually work at Covenant House. I run the clothing room. And I said, oh, that's great. Something fashion, clothing, that's pretty cool. Teenagers, I can relate to this woman. And I said, oh, so you volunteer and you sort through like used donations of clothing, and then you figure out, what's good for who, and you distribute it to all the people. And she looked at me and she said, no, I have a job and I'm paid. And I actually go shopping and buy socks and underwear and things that teenagers desperately need that we don't get donated. So the light went on, because what she didn't know was I run a company called the Bargains Group. And I was the largest discount wholesaler of socks and underwear and toothpaste and all of these different products that when I started my company, I sold them to stores across Canada at deep, deep discounts. So I asked her how it worked, and she told me. She told me this horrific story, which I will shorten, and she worked a 14-hour day at the homeless shelter, because that's what social service people do. She came home, she fed her children, she put them in the car, she drove to Zellers at that time. She unloaded the kids, found the store manager, and negotiated an incredible deal on 1,000 pairs of socks. She then put the kids back in the car, loaded the car up, drove home, unloaded the car so nobody stole the car that night with all the socks in the car, and woke up 20 minutes early the next day and reversed it and loaded the car back up. She then drove down to Covenant House, unloaded the car again, and went to the accountant to reimburse her. I was exhausted by hearing that story, and I only wanted to know one thing. How much did she pay for the socks? Because what she didn't know was I sold the socks to Zellers. So when she told me, I could have given them to her 75% cheaper than what she actually paid, even with the discount. And I realized at that point in time, that was my aha moment as a business leader. Wow. I was so excited about helping her, because I said to her this, when you need socks next time, I run this company called the Bargains Group. Just call me. In 2 minutes, you can order them. I'll ship them to your door. You don't have to worry about your children and 3 hours of work. And I'll just send you an invoice for 30 days. Would that help you? Oh, and I forgot. You're going to get them at 75% less. And one more thing. I have a program called the Full Circle Donation Program, where I collect donations of product from all my other friends and business leaders who don't know what to do with it, and I distribute them for free to homeless shelters across Canada. Could that help you too? And her body language went just like this. Are they stolen? And I said, no, that's just what I do. And she said, wow. And she started then telling everybody in Toronto first, and then outside of Toronto, about how there was this great company who could help you with basics at 80% off. So go backtrack. I used to just sell stores. I bought and sold stores. And if anybody's ever dealt with a retail client, they're not fun. They were more fun back then. They don't want to pay their bills. They don't answer the phones. You have to call them 150 times. There's always a problem. They want a markdown. They don't like it. They didn't sell it. It's all your fault. Then I sold Covenant House my first order of socks. They sent me flowers. Mm-hmm. They thanked me. They paid me in 7 days. Big choice of who I wanted to build my business around and work 7/24 servicing. So my passion, and they've made me feel good. Most importantly, they made me feel good. And as I started to build my company and told people that there was this group of people we helped, they wanted to be part of my team and my culture at the Bargains Group. So we all know about culture. I'm not going to get into that. But when you have people who love what you do and want to be affiliated with, both want to work for you, clients who want to do business with you, when I'm selling a promotional pen and I've got a competitor selling the same thing, when they see who I am and what I do and what I believe in, we get the deal hands down because of our culture and what we believe in through and through. And the same thing with suppliers. We want to deal with suppliers, customers. People want to do business with people who give back. But one of the things we as women don't do well is talk about it, right? So it's really important. I'm sure everybody in here is involved with a charity because all of your hands went up. But you got to talk about the good work you do. It will bring you business. It'll bring you better employees because people will be attracted to your kindness. When they can choose, there's lots of jobs out there and they can choose who they want to work for. It will bring you customers when they've got a choice of dealing one company over the other. Because people want to do business with people who do good. And ultimately, we need to do that because the government can't take care of all of our causes. And I truly believe that volunteerism will be a paid profession in the next 20 years. It is our job as leaders to pay our employees to give back during work hours and to do charity work like mine do during Monday to Friday. And we pay them to do it. And let me tell you, they're the most productive employees you'll ever have because they care and they want to give back. So it's a whole other concept, but let me be clear. I run a for-profit company. It's the Bargains Group. I buy and sell stuff. I have thousands and thousands of items, both unbranded, and my largest division now is anything you want logoed. And I founded a charity 17 years ago because I listened to these charities like Covenant House never having enough money, never having enough donors. They're all in the same situation. And then I'd go into a warehouse and I'd buy thousands of items and there'd be a pile of something and the guy would say, "Oh, you don't want that?" I'm saying, "No, but how'd you love to donate it?" And he said, "Well, I have to pay to take it to landfill and dispose of it because maybe it has a label on it or it's the Gap and they have to, there's a million reasons." And I said, "Would you trust me to give it to me so that I can distribute to shelters across the country? It'll go under the radar. No one's going to resell it. It won't ruin your brand." And they said yes. Mm-hmm. So we started a program called the Full Circle Donation Program. So anybody I know, if you ever know anybody, Wendy, if you ever have glasses, anybody who knows anybody who has things, you can say, I'll tell you where to give it, and we distribute it right across the country. So companies are thrilled because they don't have to deal with 1,000 calls from charities asking for donations. We're thrilled because it's kind of like a loyalty club because we can get it into the hands of people who need it. And it's a win-win for everybody. But it's important to tell these stories and build your reputation. And I'm going to tell you about a wall we have in our boardroom, and I welcome any of you to come to our office. We have a whole wall, and it's just filled with awards, plaques, newspaper articles about the work we do. And we use it 2 ways. Number one, when we're recruiting. We bring people in, we sit them in front of the wall, and we make them sit there and look at the wall for about 5 minutes. When the people that are coming in to interview them to see if they're the right fit, because I don't really care about skill set, it's all about cultural fit at the Bargains Group. If they don't mention in the first 3 minutes something like, "Oh, Big Brothers, I volunteered with them," or, "Oh, that's amazing what you do for the homeless, we love that." If they don't somehow connect and share that, they're just not the right cultural fit for our company. And it doesn't mean they're not qualified or they're not a good person, but they're just not part of the fit. Because on Friday at 6 o'clock, when a shelter calls and says they've got bed bugs and they need to turn the linen over, or those people are going to be on the streets till Monday, it's real hard when you just say there's a bed, but no problem, we'll get in our car, we'll do it. That's the kind of people that work with me, and I'm very proud of that. The other thing I'd like to say is it's really important that we talk about it in other opportunities. I've won a huge amount of awards, not because I have the best socks or the best prices or any other. It's because I've told my story, like I'm telling you, and how I've meshed business and philanthropy together for a common need. That's all it is. So I've also been trained that when you have an opportunity to tell your story in front of an audience, it's really important you deliver the message about what you're passionate about and not to be shy. And the very first time I did this was in 2001 at the Royal York Hotel. I won the Canadian Woman Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and there was over, I think, 1,200 people at this place. And the best thing I learned was this I'll share with you. What color do we all wear to a gala? Black. I wore a white, sparkly long coat. And I was the winner. So where was I supposed to sit? Front. Guess where I sat? At the back. So when they called my name, I had to walk down the road and the sparkles hit me and everything. And then I stood up, and I'll never forget, Diane Francis from the National Post was the MC, and the president of Ford Canada presented me with the award. And I had my 5 minutes of fame, right? That was my first time I ever gave one of these crazy speeches. And I basically said to them, thank you for giving me the award for innovation. Everybody in my life, you all know who you are. I'm taking my 5 minutes of fame to share a message with all of you. I believe it's our duty to help the less fortunate in society, and I built my business around giving back, and I'm profitable. So every one of you here, thank you for coming. $250 for your plate tonight. When you walk back to your Jags, BMWs, Lexuses, and Mercedes, think about the person you're going to walk by or step over who's homeless, and he's probably got frostbite. I could have put socks on 500 people's feet for one plate of chicken. So let's talk about that. And I went on. And you could have heard a pin drop, which meant either they really thought I was a psychopath or they connected with me, and you didn't know at that point. And I was a lot younger. And when I got off the stage, there was silence, and two bank managers, Tony Comper at the time from BMO, and one of the other bank managers stood up and gave me a standing ovation and came over to me and said, you need to talk to people at my company. So I didn't say anything. It just came back to my passion about giving back and how it's our duty to do it. And that's really all I did. So I encourage all of you, you're all passionate about something or a few things, and you can all make money at it if you really think about it. And if you don't know what that is, your salt, ask your friends, ask your family, ask people who know you. What do you think I'm passionate about? Figure that out and make that your legacy. So remember, passion equals profits, and giving back makes great business sense.